when I was with the radio network, we had a new CEO that came in. And the bottom line of my division was not the bottom line that he wanted. And I was unceremoniously let go. And meanwhile, I had one child in private school, I had 2 cars, I had a mortgage, and I had a wife who was 6 months pregnant. And I remember, and this is why it's really important to have a support system, if you can, is because I got home and immediately I'm, making all kinds of plans, and I was just scared to death about what I was going to do. And she knew that I had this idea for We Interrupt This Broadcast. And for whatever reason, and I do have to give her credit for this, in her condition and in our situation, she could have very easily said, well, you'll find another job in broadcasting. It's LA, And instead she said, why don't you pursue your idea? Because she always knew I was entrepreneurially bent anyway. I mean, even when I was with the radio network, I got tired of the radio business. It became, with deregulation, it became very consolidated. Fewer and fewer people, fewer and fewer decision makers and that kind of stuff, fewer and fewer opportunities. There was no competition anymore. So that's when I had the idea. The company had amassed this large archive of materials, so I went to the CEO of the company and I said, I think we could repurpose this material in markets outside of the broadcast business. I saw, the internet as a possibility. I saw audiobooks as a possibility, all these things. So I was able to convince him to allow me to change careers without giving up my parking space or my benefits. And so I was always that way, always looking for opportunities to create and to make things. And so to her credit, she said, why don't you go out on your own? And boy, there's nothing more motivating than a pregnant wife, 2 cars, a kid in school, keeps you going, and it did, and ultimately resulted in the success that I had. But then, fast forward, 2007, my assistant said to me, after we'd gone through all these experiences, all these people, these wonderful opportunities, and just this great success, and she said, Joe, you want to write a memoir? And I said, I think memoirs are only good if there's real adversity and struggle and that kind of stuff, people can learn something. And, knock wood, and maybe I'm just always looking for the silver lining and that kind of stuff. I just wasn't aware. But I said to her, naively in hindsight, I said, well, you know what? I really don't feel like I've had any adversity. And it was as if God overheard that and went, oh my gosh, I forgot the adversity. Bam, downturn in the economy. Bam, large hardcover books are now not going to be able to be sold because people can't afford them. Bam, let's rip up the real estate market in Southern California and have your house plummet in price and value. And then my wife deciding that we were going to get a divorce. And so suddenly I am now, and I had custody. So I was now the single father of 2 kids. Google became my best friend. My daughter would tell you to this day, I never cooked. I had to cook. I had to do all this kind of stuff. And so I would excuse myself. Where are you going? I'm going to go into my office for a little bit. And she was going, oh, what are you Googling this time, Dad? And this sort of thing. But, there's 2 ways you can go. You can either let the wheels fall off, or you can realize that, as you've heard ad nauseum, but it's true, this too shall pass. And sometimes those storm clouds don't look like they're going to part anytime soon, but they will. And that's what I knew. And that's what I stayed focused on. I stayed focused on them, stayed focused on, mostly for them, just keep going, keep going, keep going. Get up tomorrow and keep going. And that was it.